Hello, denizens of the internet. Your former network executive reaction to Only Murders in the Building Season 3, Episodes 1 and 2. I have two warnings. The first one is that there will be spoilers. The second one is that I've never really been a fan of comedies about showbiz because I really don't care about the ups and downs of an actor's life. I was an actor. I got paid for acting. I still have my union card. I find no tension in watching auditions. Oh no, will they get the role or not? I hate shows about acting classes like the Kaminsky Method, which everyone loved, with its collection of emotional wreckage. I know those people. I don't need to invite them into my living room through my TV. I hated that perennial feel-good holiday musical, White Christmas, and it's got Danny Kaye in it. I give Singing in the Rain a pass because it has so many highlights. You might ask, what about Some Like It Hot? But that was a gangster comedy. Hail Caesar by the Coen brothers was interminable. Aha! What about All About Eve or Sunset Boulevard? Well, they weren't comedies, but I still had issues relating to their career ups and downs. Tropic Thunder was a send-up of show business. But what about Bowfinger, which also starred Steve Martin? I loved that movie, but it was more of a love letter to industry insiders that included a brilliant performance by Eddie Murphy. But what about seasons 1 and 2? Weren't Martin and Short playing characters in showbiz? Yes, characters whose careers had passed and were now living out their lives in the Arconia. But isn't podcasting show business? Can you please stop projecting your thoughts into my mind? Thank you. Anyway, I'll leave that there. I'm certain you will pepper me with your examples in the comment section. And so we come to season 3, finally, of Only Murders in the Building. I watched it with my wife and we both came to the same conclusion. The premise has run out of steam and lost most of its charm. I'm sure this will be a controversial take for many of you who just love the triumvirate of Steve Martin, Martin Short, and Selena Gomez. I mean, I do like them, especially Selena, actually. The location of the murder temporarily changes to the theater, the location of Oliver Putman's biggest failure, his new show, Death Rattle, a murder mystery play that takes place in a lighthouse in Nova Scotia. I think it's Nova Scotia, but I care so little to check. It doesn't really matter. Where the only suspect is a baby in a crib. And there is the show's first problem. They thought that was funny. The play is supposed to be an Agatha Christie-style mystery taken seriously, but the writers have concocted a premise they felt would be funny to us as a joke. Why would Oliver put on a play that would not match his considerable Broadway credentials that have been set up over the first 2 seasons? It's a cheap joke for a cheap laugh, and it undermines the believability of this entire affair. If it's not believable, then it's Springtime for Hitler. Add to it the thoroughly unconvincing Paul Rudd playing blockbuster movie star Ben Glenroy, and I'm totally unconvinced about this run. The actors in the play are either assholes or incompetent or just playing incompetent. Wasn't quite sure what Meryl Streep's character, Loretta Durkin, was supposed to be. Initially, a perennial failure who does great auditions, but loses it during table reads, yet performs well enough in the show to become Oliver's love interest. Ben accuses her of being conniving. Now, that is what you call a setup. Streep was fantastic. I just wasn't sure what was going on there. Rudd's character is a total jerk. Everyone is enthralled with his trash movie mega status, which encourages Steve Martin's Charles Hayden Savage to be an even bigger, unfunny egomaniac. None of it was entertaining. In the previous 2 seasons, especially the first, all the wacky tenants in the building were believable. I didn't believe any of the characters here, including the financial backer and her creepy son that she kisses too deeply. Andrea Martin looked lost, and the 3 racial inserts, it's clear the writers had no idea what to do with them. It was patently embarrassing to watch. I had a suspicion that something was awry when Hulu released the first 2 episodes at the same time. This usually only happens when the channel thinks something is wrong. Of course, perhaps that's how they handled the previous seasons, so this was just conjecture. But it did need it, as the first show was horribly tedious and felt far longer than its clocked 39 minutes, and both my wife and I were really anxious to see this season. The slightly shorter second show clipped along much faster, and while it was a better episode, it was also a strained effort that felt like it was tearing at the remaining sinews of the carcass of its successful first 2 seasons. Rudd's character dies in the last episode of season 2's cliffhanger, on stage in the middle of the opening night performance. The one joke I liked was when one of the tenants commented that finally there was a murder not in the building. Of course, that would negate the title of the series, so there was the interesting twist of Rudd coming back to life and showing up at his own wake, renouncing his terrible behavior with the prospect of the play returning. Any guesses what happened next? Yes. Ben gets fully and finally killed in the building. Mabel, played by Selena, starts collecting clues. Oliver has a heart attack. Charles is completely lost, and soon the threesome, I'm sure, will reignite their murder podcast in future episodes. In the meantime, Oliver announces that he's going to press on by turning Death Rattle into a musical. I didn't care when Judy Garland and Mickey Rooney saved the day by turning the barn into a theater. And I don't care about Death Rattle. Season 3 could be called The Oliver Putman Show. As I said earlier, the series is lost so far. The characters are lost. I don't believe that Death Rattle could ever be real. The jokes are out there. They're telling them, but they're not landing because I don't care about their dilemma. And Ben Glenroy must have seemed funny to the writers to construct such an insufferable egomaniac. And look, I hate to offer advice to these clever people who are actually doing work, which I'm not. But I would have cast a young Pierce Brosnan type, charming, handsome, silver-tongued, who was duplicitous and backstabbing in a more quiet, evil way. I would think that would be more realistic and more fun to write, frankly. So, there you go. One final note is that I have to commend Short's more restrained performance. He actually acted like a professional impresario. Unfortunately, betrayed by the shoddy script of the first 2 shows. I shall press on and report back. In the meantime, I'm sure you'll have your say in the comments. Till next time, denizens, be seeing you.